Okay, so the title was a little hard to come up with, like benefits of hunting. I'm kind of up here just kind of to educate people. I don't know how much information you guys know about hunting in general. I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong. I'm just kind of giving you a hunter's perspective on it. If you don't enjoy it or you don't want to or you're not, I guess, proud of it or something, that's perfectly fine.
We just won't throw anything at you, right? That's what you're asking.
So a lot of people think hunting is just all about going for a trophy, trying to find the deer with the biggest rack or something. But the most of people, it's just everyday people out there trying to supply meat for their families. Not everyone can have like a freezer freezer full of beef or freezer full of pork. So people in lower income families, they can go out in the woods, harvest a deer, whether it's a doe or a buck, and they can put it in the freezer, and that's their winter supply for their family. And there are people out there that do believe it is the safest form of meat, as opposed to like processed meat, like something you buy, whether at Marsh or something, or even if you get it from somewhere else. I know, like my roommate, his wife, she only eats deer meat, even though she grew up on a farm. She just doesn't like hamburger or anything like that. She only likes deer meat. Even me coming from, I'm used to like freezer beef that we put in our own freezer. So like if I go to Marsh or something to buy meat, half the time it'll upset my stomach. I don't know what all that is, but and then harvesting like a mature deer, it's not just about the size of the rack. Harvesting mature deer, it's about letting the deer live a long, healthful life. A mature deer, that's 3, 4, 5 years old is going to be the biggest deer out there. It's like harvesting a 1,200 pound steer at market as opposed to a 6-month-old steer. You're going to get more meat. The animal's going to live a longer, healthier life. And then some of the conservation aspects of it. At the turn of the century, there were only 40,000 elk and 500,000 deer in the United States. And with conservation efforts, we now have over 1 million elk and 33 million deer. And those are all pretty much hunters-funded wildlife conservation programs. In the 1900s, deer were actually extinct in Indiana, and they reintroduced them in the 1930s from Wisconsin and Michigan. I think they started with like 30 or something. And by the 1930s, by the 1950s, populations were reestablished and they were starting to actually hunt again to manage those populations. And then there's some more conservation stuff. Hunters actually formed the national park system. There's over 230 million acres out there. And these are your state parks and everything all across the country. And then as far as like money-wise, just through state licenses and fees, hunters paid. This was in 2013. Hunters paid $796 million towards conservation programs. That was just through hunting licenses and fees. So there's other ways out there hunters are providing money for these programs. And altogether, there's about $1.6 billion towards conservation programs. And as far as conservation programs goes, I'm a member of QDMA here at Purdue. It's Quality Deer Management Association. We just try to, what we're about is preserving the future for whitetail deer, mostly in our area. There's, I think, Purdue's chapter, I think this is our 4th or 5th year as a national branch. We just try and promote wildlife habitat health in general, not just deer, other aspects too. And as far as like towards conservation money, there's no other group or organization out there that gives as much money towards it and is about it as hunters are. And then as far as like management wise, hunters do help control the population, whether it's bringing in deer and try to increase the population by less hunting and more management practices, or the population is an issue and steps need to be taken to reduce the population. And that's not just deer, that's your waterfowl, your predators and everything. A lot of deer hunters do predator hunting, and that's going to decrease your population for like coyotes, stuff like that, foxes. And that becomes an issue because once predator population becomes high, like even in Chicago, there's coyotes that have come into Chicago and they're eating dogs and cats of homeowners there. They're scrounging through trash and stuff, and that's not good. And obviously deer population does affect everyone, not just us. Here in rural Indiana, it does affect people in Chicago. As far as car collisions, I think I saw somewhere for every car that hits a deer, hunters I think harvest 6 deer or something like that. Numbers, I don't know. And then like crop damage, if deer do a lot of crop damage, prices are going to increase. That's going to affect food supply, food demand. And then predator population, which is kind of what I said about coyotes and killing small animal stuff. On a farm, I have had barn cat stuff that were killed by coyotes. We try and keep. I had a little Shih Tzu growing up. We always tried to keep her up towards the house so she wasn't really in danger or anything. And then even as far as not just human management practices, there was a study in Wisconsin that revealed there was a 50% loss of plant species in state parks where hunting wasn't allowed, and they quickly decided to bring hunting back in. Like in state parks, it's very managed. I know Purdue has quite a few properties here where students can sign up to go hunt. It's very managed. You're only allowed to harvest mature deer. Most of the time, you're not even allowed to kill a doe. It's just bucks, I think, that are like 3 years or older or something. So it's managed very well. And then as far as like the hunting connection, like I met some of the best friends I know through hunting, through QDMA. They're going to be lifelong friends. Some friends I can call upon anytime. Overall, I think people in the hunting industry are a good group of people. There are going to have your bad apples in there, which is what you're going to have with anything in this day and age. That are going to give a negative view of it. We're not just rednecks running around the woods shooting stuff. And then like family wise, I grew up in a hunting family. I remember as a kid sitting in the deer stand with my dad was some of the funnest moments as a child. Killing my first deer, my dad was so proud of me and everything. Like I remember a lot of people, I don't know if any of you have ever, harvested a deer or something, you get the shakes really bad. It's all the adrenaline. I remember I was in my tree stand and I shot my deer and I was shaking so bad I thought I was going to fall out of the stand. I had to sit down for like 5 minutes before I could even climb down. It's just something you have to experience, and all my family is enjoying it. And then like just the fact of being out there and enjoying nature, as hunters, yeah, we are, harvesting deer and other animals, but we do enjoy deer. We enjoy being out there in the woods. There's something about walking through the woods in the morning, watching the sunrise, hearing the woods wake up in the morning, and it's just something that you just have to live. And I included a picture of me with a doe at a farm. For QDMA, we went to a deer farm, which is something entirely different. I'm not going to get on right now, but we were able to get in some pen with deer, and I took a selfie with the doe.
Okay, that's not all. Okay.
So that's it. I don't know if
Okay,
you guys have questions or anything.
You're ready for questions. Who has some questions?
Yeah.
I have a couple. My dad's a hunter, so I was raised in anything that runs, we ate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know if, like, since West Lafayette's, or Lafayette is bigger, do you know if there's, like, a game, like, butcher around that sells venison?
I'm not from around here, so I don't
that's
really
a
know.
good, you're asking, is there any place in the area that sells venison that you could
Yeah.
buy? Yeah.
Because I know the deer farm you were talking about, I've been to one that's here in the Lafayette area.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was the same one, but.
it probably was.
Does anybody know about the venison?
Yeah,
There's
fresh
one in
thyme.
Thorntown.
Fresh thyme?
Fresh thyme sells venison and elk and
Wow.
bison. But
That's over
it's
by
farm
Sam's
raised,
Club
it's
in-
not like someone.
Yeah, most of the stuff you can
Yeah.
find that is for sale. You're not legally allowed to sell wild game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like, I don't know if any of you guys heard Arby's is like experimenting with venison in some of
Okay.
their restaurants over on the East Coast. And
That's
it's
over
like,
by like Gordon.
Okay.
yeah, and all that venison is, it's like she said, it's farm raised. You're not legally allowed to sell wild game.
Okay,
So
so I didn't know that. That's something I learned. You're not allowed to sell wild game that you shoot, for example. Okay?
Why is that?
What's that?
Why is that?
Well, I think it's for food
It's
quality.
not
You can
tested.
you can
Yeah.
eat it yourself, but when you start selling those things, did they store it right? There's no
It also
inspection.
takes away some of the market for poachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because then there'd be people out there at night shining flashlights and then
yeah,
selling
and
beer. I like that idea.
we struggle with that enough already. So
Yeah. So I know. I thought I read in the newspaper that in some places now, hunters can donate their deer to
Yeah.
food
Thanks.
banks.
yeah, there's
Okay.
there's a lot of people I know.
So that's
They-
not like selling it. That's
No,
like,
they do too. If they find out like a deer's just been hit on the road, they'll
Yeah.
donate it. Or if poachers, if they catch the poacher,
Yeah.
they just take the meat and donate it to like a food bank, stuff
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the poacher thing bothers me